Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. As you can see from the cute, cuddly Skaven here, we're back in action with the Rat Men going to be facing up against the Dawi. But before we get to my opponent's build, let's go ahead and take a look at mine. I've got Queek Head Taker. This is one matchup where I do like to bring him. Of course, he's got Armor Piercing, Anti-Infantry, Trophy Heads, as well as Dwarf Gouger, making him a very strong one-on-one combatant, especially against Dwarf Lords. We've got 4 Plague Monks backed up by 1 Death Runner to help with that armor sundering. He's got the Death Runners have the Weeping Blade, minus 50% armor, which scales very well against elite Dawi infantry. We've got a front line of Skaven Slaves with slings and without, kind of mixed together. We've got 2 Doom Wheels, 2 Plague Claw Catapults, and a Plague Priest with Pestilent Birth and Wither for that Plague Monk summon, and of course the armor sundering. So, as you can see from my opponent's build, he's brought a very interesting build, and the reason I wanted to bring this replay to you guys, he's got 4 Miners with Blasting Charges, 3 Iron Drakes, which is a very interesting choice against the Skaven. He's got 2 Rangers, 1 on each side, and 1, 2, and 3 Thunderers, as well as Grudge Thrower and the Goblobber, as well as 2 Organ Guns. So a lot of missile fire, a lot of DACA, as they say. And yeah, let's go ahead and kick things into full gear and watch what happens. So first things first, I'm going to be taking this Doom Wheel up and around this flank to kind of potentially run shop on some artillery, and same thing with this Doom Wheel, going to be running it up over on this flank. This is a little bit of a panic move, I'm not going to lie, because I'm taking a lot of missile fire, and I'm going to have to cut my way through these 4 groups of miners, rather. You can see already taking damage on the Plague Monks, a little bit of a counter artillery fire on the Plague Claw Catapults, but we have got some nice work done so far on those Thunderers. But the issue is, as we charge in with this Doom Wheel, we're going to start taking damage from these 2 Thunderers up on the high ground here, and meanwhile, all through the mainline engagement, if you could call it that, the Skaven Slaves soaking up lots of blasting charges here, getting absolutely pummeled by these miners, and unfortunately, I'm going to kind of fall into this trap a little bit here. You see how I'm blobbing up 2 units of Plague Monks onto 1 miner. I honestly should break these guys up and around and either go directly after the Iron Drakes or get on this other unit of miners over here. You can see, though, that this one Doom Wheel has managed to terrify away these Rangers, and we are making some solid contact with that Plague Claw Catapult. Fortunately, the armor-piercing missile fire on this Doom Wheel here is just going to be too great from these 2 units, and they are going to unfortunately rout off, or it is going to rout off, rather. And in this mainline fight, now that the Iron Drakes are kind of getting into range here, it's going to be really, really bad. Over on this far side, you can see the Iron Drakes just roasting those Plague Monks, getting a ton of value there, just doing like half HP damage or more to those Plague Monks. So it's really, really bad. A little bit of Miss Micro cost me quite a bit. I need to be getting on those guys as soon as possible, but we are going to take another roasting there. Just crazy amounts of damage coming in from these Iron Drakes. And this Plague Priest is going to try and tie these guys up. Of course, the Plague Priest does armor piercing. He does do magic, so that will be mitigated somewhat, but he does do armor piercing at the very least, and also has that Contaminate, which debuffs enemy leadership. That being said, the Iron Drakes can do a ton of damage, and they also do have the Burnt, which is a minus 8 leadership. Again, going to be very, very good up against the Skaven. I really like that pick here. You can see balance of power's relatively close, still got quite a bit of battle left. We've managed to cut through most of the miners at this point, but we have taken a lot of damage in return. It's been a very cost-ineffective trade so far, finally getting onto these Iron Drakes with this Doom Wheel here, and should be able to do a little bit of damage here and potentially take out 1 or 2 models. But still, those guys have got a lot of work done already, but we can now kind of run through with these Plague Monks and the Death Runners and get onto the high-value targets. The Plague Claw Catapults, thankfully, are both still online. It looks like that one actually just barely got routed off by the Goblobber there, so that's a bit unfortunate. And yeah, unfortunately, we're not able to inundate these Iron Drakes here. They're going to be just roasting those Skaven Slaves. Man, those Dawi Flamethrowers are so cool. A really, really neat pick in this particular matchup. Meanwhile, the Dwarf Lord is, you know, kind of just running around at this Doom Wheel, where I'm trying to hunt down the Dwarf Lord with Queek here. Unfortunately, you know, we're not able to get a hold of him. We might be able to get my paws on him for just a minute here, and Queek, you know, with the trophy heads and everything, he will be able to do a lot of damage to this Dwarf Lord, so we'll get soak in some of this dual action here as Queek tries to take down this Dwarf Lord. You can see the Dwarf Lord's already trying to run away there, and definitely does not want to be taking that fight head on. But yeah, still very, very even in terms of the balance of power. A lot of my units are coming back from routing, so we're just trying to bring them back as quickly as possible. Some really nice contact from that Plague Claw Catapult that's still online. Going to be bringing this other one back online shortly once they come back from routing. But yeah, we managed to rout off a couple artillery pieces. Most of the Thunderers are gone at this point, so the only real threat to my one remaining Doom Wheel is this organ gun here and this one relatively healthy group of Thunderers. The Rangers, although they don't have necessarily armor piercing in their tooltip, they do have, what is it, 4 armor piercing? Yep, 4 armor piercing, so even they can do relatively well against the miners. But this is going to be a little bit dangerous of a situation. Queek is all isolated and alone over here, and although he does have that ability to give him some more speed, he's surrounded by Thunderers right now, and he's potentially going to start taking a lot of armor piercing missile fire. Just watch, he's at full health right now, and look at the amount of burst damage, just 10 to 20% of his HP and rapidly climbing. I mean, he's just taking a ton of damage, just getting stagger locked by these Thunderers here. I'm doing my best to try and support with the Plague Claw Catapults here, but honestly, I need this Doom Wheel over here. It's way out of position. I need to get Queek out of here, and I need to get this Doom Wheel over here to help out, but already, Queek's pretty much done for already. You can see even just a short amount of miss micro there with Queek, and he's done for. So really rough situation. We did manage to almost finish off that Dwarf Lord, but it wasn't quite enough, and the Doom Wheel was just a little bit late in coming into support, so we are going to unfortunately have Queek get routed off here. So it's a really rough situation. Actually, it looks like Queek's not quite routing off yet, but I believe with that, yep, now he's routed off. So very unfortunate. We do manage to terrify away that unit of Thunderers there, and yeah, going to be trying to compromise things, but the balance of power is still very, very close, but honestly, it's a bit closer than it should be. He's roasting Iron Drakes here, just getting some really nice fire into this unit of Plague Monks here, just absolutely crisping them up. So, yeah, it's going to be a rough time. Mostly it's just this Doom Wheel is my only killing power left. There is that Plague Monk as well. He's getting some nice armor-piercing damage done, but at this point I was really, really regretting not bringing the Vermintide spell that allows you to bring the Clan Rat summon, because I really needed some extra unit models just to be able to bog down a lot of these missile units. If I had that Clan Rat summon right now, I could potentially, you know, tie down these 2 artillery pieces right here, keep some of these Thunderers and, you know, Rangers at bay, potentially inundate the Iron Drakes as well. So let's just see how many kills. 76 kills on these Iron Drakes, 42 here. Really nice work done so far. And they're just going to be roasting right into the back of those Plague Monks. Some really nice positioning from my opponent. That Doom Wheel's also taking quite a bit of damage from the Iron Drakes as well, surprisingly so. You would think with the Doom Wheel being made purely of wood, well, not purely of wood, mostly of wood, it would be flammable, but I guess it's not, which is nice, but still, Warp Lightning Cannon's just about used up all, Warp Lightning Cannon, the Plague Claw Catapult's just about used up all its ammunition. This Goblobber has used up all its ammunition. We've been able to finish off this Grudge Thrower here just about with the Death Runners and the Plague Monks working in tandem. And now we're going to be pathing them through over onto these Thunderers here, but with the fire coming in from the Thunderers and from the Rangers, you can see a bit of a Last Samurai here for these Clan-Eshin Assassins, and they are going to get routed off, unfortunately. So really, really rough situation in this late game. You can see my opponent's very much pulling ahead here, despite what the balance of power says. Queek did not quite rout off all the way. He is barely alive here with 106 hit points over on the far side of the map. I'm just keeping him away from the conflict. But at this point, the Doom Wheel, I think, is a little bit too low to finish off everything that's here. You know, if we could potentially shatter these 2 Thunderers and the rest of the Rangers, maybe we could pull this back. But it is very, very close, and you can see the balance of power is even twisting a little bit in my favor up at this point. I'm not really sure why, but yeah. Just not going to be able to pull this one out. Spoiler alert, I am going to lose this one, unfortunately. But yeah, those miners are probably going to come back from routing, and now that we've used up the last of the ammo on the Plague Claw Catapult, you can see the balance of power starting to fall back towards the Dwarfs there. And although the Rangers don't have great armor piercing, they do have decent armor piercing, and they should be able to finish off this very tattered Doom Wheel here. So we'll see if he's able to finish off these units of Rangers, or if they'll finish him off. Very nice charge there. And probably going to be hitting that terror. Nope, not quite hitting that terror cap yet. But, yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be very, very tough to come back from all this. This one Plague Claw Catapult did come back from routing and did reman its artillery piece here. But you can see the The Iron Drakes are pulling up here, and they're going to be unleashing some torrents of flame onto this catapult here and probably just finishing it off. Yep, they're immediately going to waver and probably rout off. Yep, they actually shatter. So that Plague Claw catapult's done, and at this point, it's mostly just the Doom Wheel. Can the Doom Wheel finish things off here, or will it get destroyed by Iron Drakes? So just continuing to run shop on this one unit of Rangers here, trying to get them desperately to terrify away. But honestly, what I should do at this point is come around to a side angle and get a side charge like that, because then I should be able to get the entire line. But these Thunders came back from routing, and let's see, we do barely make it in before they get any shots off there. And yeah, they are going to be terrified and shattered now. But again, the one unit of Rangers over here, and my opponent's doing a very good job of splitting them up, so I can't engage on both of them at the same time. I have to pick one or the other. And man, that Goblobber just got a solid hit on that Doom Wheel as well. It's actually looking potentially to be doing some finishing fire here, and there we go with the Iron Drake's going to be roasting that Doom Wheel. That should be enough to finish it off. The burnt effect and the damage does in fact rout that Doom Wheel, and with that it's pretty much going to be a Dawi victory. So we'll go ahead and fast forward through the late game here. Actually, there was one more moment I wanted to catch here as Queek hunts down these remaining Iron Drakes here. He's really angry about being burned so badly earlier, so he's going to come through and chop up the rest of these. Oh man, wow. He's really, really angry about things. He's going to come through and just finish off the rest of these Iron Drakes one by one, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, it's not going to be able to be won by the Skaven, unfortunately, at this point. So, despite the Plague Priest and Queek here, wow, man, Queek just did like a crazy flurry there. Did you see that? But yeah, it is going to be, unfortunately, a victory for the Dawi. And yeah, so the main reason I wanted to show you guys this replay is not only because I thought this dwarf build was really cool. It's very interesting, and I've seen it brought in tournaments and you know, replays before, but I'd never faced up against it myself, so it was interesting to play against, and I definitely see the merit there. I think I still could have won this battle if I had played a couple of things differently, if I hadn't have thrown away that one Doom Wheel early on. And getting Queek isolated and shot by those Thunders was really rough as well. But yeah, you can see Queek's going to come in and just get roasted by those Iron Drakes. Rather ignominious end for our buddy Queek here. But the Plague Monk, if I had brought the Clan Rat summons on him, it potentially would have gone differently as well. So I do think there are a few things I could have done differently. But the main focus of this video is build stealing. So Gobbo King accuses me all the time of stealing his builds, and this is my confession. Yes, I do steal Gobbo King's builds all the time, and in fact, not just Gobbo King, but any good player, any player that I lose to, or a player that I think has a particularly interesting build, or if they suggest something that maybe I haven't tried before, I will steal their build, modify it, of course, to my own needs. But yeah, the best players steal each other's builds. I say stealing as if it's some kind of malicious thing. It's actually not. I mean, Gobbo King, Jonton, Turin, Janet on occasion, all of us hang out and, swap build ideas and play practice games against each other and steal each other's builds, right? That's just how the meta evolves. And in a game as dynamic as Warhammer, it's really hard to pin down a concrete meta. There's really just counterpicks on counterpicks. So, getting different ideas and stealing builds, quote unquote, is really the way to evolve as a player. So, in terms of the army breakdown here, again, throwing that one Doom Wheel away early on was rough. You can see the other one, 117 kills and 3 chevrons. Same thing with the Plague Claw Catapult. One of them, 106 kills and a single chevron. The other only got 30 kills. Death Runners as well, 59 kills and a chevron. The Plague Monk's not paying off. This one Doom Wheel and the other Plague Claw Catapult was really what turned it for me, as well as Queek getting shot up by those Thunders. Iron Drakes as well, MVPs here, 98, 63, and 60 kills. 177, 65 on the organ guns is excellent. The Miners held their own as well, in that frontline engagement. Definitely did some nice delaying there. And yeah, the Grudge Throwers also did some nice work. So now let's go ahead and see if I can effectively steal that build. So let's go jump straight into another replay, and this time I've taken the Dawi and I'm facing up against the Lizards. So as you can see, I have modified the build somewhat. It's still the same idea. We're going to be using lots of Dawi firepower and overlapping lines of fire to just keep up a continuous barrage of ranged fire and just try and wither our opponents down that way. So to that effect, I've got 3 Iron Drakes. This time I've got the Trollhammer torpedoes, because obviously up against the dinos, you might see a lot of big armored monsters. So the anti-large armor piercing of the Trollhammer torpedo is going to be very good here. In addition, I've traded out the Grudge Throwers for cannons, because again, anti-large armor piercing. Other than that, though, the build is very, very similar. We've got 4 Miners, 3 Rangers, 4 Thunderers, and 3 Iron Drakes with the Trollhammer Torpedoes, a Bog Basic Dawi Lord, and yeah, the 1 Organ Gun and the 2 Cannons. So my opponent's build, he's got 2 Chameleon Skinks here. You can see them going to be immediately teed off on by the Organ Gun, and no amount of missile resistance is going to save you from the massive missile damage of the Organ Gun. He's also got Krokar up on Grimlock, 4 units of Saurus Warriors with shields, 2 Temple Guards. He's got a Laser Lizard, Revification Crystal, and a Skink Priest Lore of Beasts. Personally, I like Lore of Heavens a little bit better in this matchup just because, of course, Harmonic Convergence and Curse of the Midnight Wind are both very pertinent here. Curse of the Midnight Wind in particular, having the armor debuff helps Saurus Warriors trade much more effectively against the Dawi Infantry, but, you know, a bit of give and take. Right off the bat, you can see I'm going to be moving my miners up and kind of positioning my forces. And again, the idea here is to have the overlapping lines of fire. So like this miner here has these 2 rangers both, as well as this thunder, all, you know, within range of it. So then if this guy gets compromised, all 3 of these guys can fire into this position here. So then same thing here, we can turn to fire all when they compromise this line, and so on. So immediately we're going to be turning our attention and just mirroring Krokar's movements with these Thunderers here, as well as focus firing with this cannon. It should be able to get some nice work done right off the bat. The Laser Lizard is firing in, trying to get some work done on those Trollhammer Torpedoes, but looks like the blasting charges and the Ranger fire are going to be coming in already. And again, although Rangers don't have armor piercing in their tooltip, for a non-armor piercing missile, they actually have pretty decent AP values, so they can do some work against large armored dinos. They're also relatively cheap, Rangers, that is, so Miner's going to be doing a good job of doing their delaying action here and bogging up the Saurus Warriors to allow the Thunderers and the, you know, so on to shoot in. Over on this side, this Krokar has gotten in on this cannon, and he is going to be taking it out. However, this whole time, he's taking damage from those little football bombs, the Trollhammer Torpedoes. They do a ton of anti-large armor piercing damage. Same things with these Thunderers, although they don't have anti-large per se. But Krokar's taken a ton of ranged fire already. You can see these 2 Saurus that have penetrated into the backline here are going to be facing fire from multiple angles, and point blank, man, those Rangers have no fear. Just point blank right into the Saurus faces. Same thing with these Thunderers on the far side. The Thunderers are actually shooting into the unshielded flank, so they're going to be getting some really nice work done there. And meanwhile, as the armored dinos try and stray forward, we're going to focus fire with the Iron Drakes with the Trollhammer Torpedoes. And yeah, you can see that this Bastiladon with the Revification Crystal, we've had this cannon focused on it the whole time. And yeah, this unit of Saurus Warriors is already almost routed off. They did kill quite a few Rangers there, but just taking continuous fire from multiple directions, again, is the name of the game with this build here. So Miners facing up against Temple Guard will obviously lose, but they're just fixing them in place, allowing these Thunderers to get some really nice flank fire into the unshielded flank of these Temple Guard. Look like they're having a little bit of obstruction issues, which is unfortunate, but looks like I hear a Manticore summon. Yes, indeed, there's a Manticore being summoned up there. However, again, with the Trollhammer Torpedoes in place, we should be able to get a lot of work done. Krokar's going to come in to try and finish off this other cannon, but this unit of Trollhammer Torpedoes, again, on station, going to be able to turn and fire on Krokar and get a lot of work done here. Looks like, yep, they're just repositioning now to try and finish him off. So, Organ Gun still also firing away in the center, very healthy, not really compromised at all, doing a ton of damage. You can see to those Saurus over on the far side, and yeah, Krokar taking a ton of those missiles from the Trollhammer Torpedoes, going to be routed off, only about 580 hit points left. And yeah, at this point, Revification Crystal is trying to come forward, but again, the armor-piercing missile fire for both the Revification Crystal, the Manticore, as well as the Laser Lizard, all 3 of them are going to take a ton of armor-piercing missile fire. You can see the Trollhammer Torpedoes are teeing off on the Laser Lizard there. Saurus trying to interrupt them here, doing a good job of that, but, you know, it's going to be really rough situation. Thunderers are getting routed off in certain situations, but again, the multiple lines of fire means we're just able to turn and focus with another unit when one gets routed away. The Saurus are taking damage, continuous damage on these Saurus as well. This unit of Temple Guard is now isolated, and just look at the full surround of Dawi skirmishers around this Temple Guard here, able to fire from all directions there. And yeah, really, really rough situation. You can see these Iron Drake torpedoes as well. Going to be throwing their Iron Drakes, or shooting them rather, into this Bastiladon here, the solar engine. And yeah, tons of damage, man. those Iron Drakes are absolute MVPs in this matchup. The fire is good against the Skaven, but against the Lizards, you definitely want to take those Trollhammer torpedoes. Over on the far side, Manticore's just about finished off. We should be able to secure those Thunders relatively shortly here. This unit of Temple Guard is way out of position over on this far side here. And again, the Saurus Warriors just kind of spread all over the place. And that is the one issue with Saurus Warriors, is they're relatively slow. So you can outrun them with Dawi, which not too much that the Dawi can outrun. The only really fast attack option that the Lizardmen have are the Pterodon Riders, which are a huge liability against Dawi firepower, and of course the Carnosaurs, which again can potentially be a very big liability. So sorry, Gary, if you're watching this, no hard feelings, buddy, but we did have to take down this Revivification Crystal here with the Trollhammer torpedoes. This whole center pocket is now relatively secure. There's just this one unit of Saurus threatening here, and we'll be able to kind of focus fire with all these missiles onto them. So they're going to be gone in relatively short order. Krokar is now getting routed off by the cannon there, and a Laser Lizard still just desperately trying to fire away, but it in itself is very, very tattered. And yeah, at this point, one last desperate Manticore summon going to be coming up. Unfortunately, the Manticore summon is right in the middle of all my skirmishers, so I'm going to just immediately turn all my Trollhammer torpedoes and start firing away. And yeah, these guys are the absolute MVPs. Such a cool unit, too. They're launching their torpedoes up into the air. And already that Manticore is down below half HP after only being summoned a few short seconds ago. And yeah, you can see this Laser Lizard's going to be taking quite a bit of fire as well. All these armor-piercing missiles and the anti-large and everything's going to be a rough time for all the dinosaurs. So this unit of Temple Guard barely clinging on to their leadership here, but they're not long for this world. And yeah, just the overwhelming firepower of the Dawi definitely worked out in this situation. So hope you guys enjoyed watching this series of battles and kind of discussion about build stealing, quote unquote. It's really just learning from your opponents is the biggest crux of it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the army breakdown. Trollhammer torpedoes, super MVPs here. Only one of them got a chevron, but they did a ton of work. The 3 chevrons on the cannons were handed out before the battle, but they did get some nice damage done against the large dinos. 41 kills and a chevron on the organ gun, 20 kills and a chevron for this thunder. Just, nice kills spread all the way across the board here. So, well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. Yeah, I highly recommend, if you're a learning player and you get beat, save the replay, save your loss, and go back and look at your opponent's build. Think about, how did they use it? How could you use a similar build? And yeah, I highly recommend stealing other people's builds. Again, in quotations, stealing, like it's some kind of malicious thing. It's really not. And especially, if you have friends to play with, bounce ideas back and forth. Even if you're just playing, games on ladder, if you come across a build that you think is really cool or whatever, I highly recommend save the replay, go back and rewatch it, try and figure out, okay, how does this build work? Can I make a similar build work? And that's how you grow and develop as a player and learn new things, because like I was saying before, Warhammer is so dynamic. It's really hard to nail down any kind of true meta. And even, top level players, we're all constantly beating each other and learning from each other and learning, okay, maybe this works, this can be a good counter for this, and what about this strategy? And it's super fun. It's one of the things I most enjoy about Total War Warhammer. So I highly encourage you guys to do the same. If you like this kind of content, hit that like button and subscribe. I keep it coming with more Total War Warhammer 2 content every single day, so stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time.